All right, my friends, here we are. We are finishing with Hashem's help, Seder, Birchos, HaNehenin. Last stretch. Chapter 13. We went through the laws of Agoyim fairly quickly last night, especially the last few halachas. So I do want to just look over them and see if there's anything I have to add before we continue. So we said that you only make, in number 5, in chapter 13, number 5, we said you only make the bracha after you go out of the sakana completely. So for example, a person who's traveling overseas and he makes a few stops on the way. Nowadays, planes usually stop for a few hours, but especially decades ago, they used to stop for a day or two on the way. So you went there, it's Israel, you stopped maybe in England for a day, or France, or whatever. Went to Australia, maybe stopped in Hawaii, whatever it was. So even though you did an overseas trip, and even if you're staying there for a day, you didn't leave the sakana. You're still in the middle of the sakana.
You're staying 3 days?
Even 3 days, until you reach your destination. Some actually say that you don't even say it at your destination because you're still considered traveling till you come home. You're going to Eretz Yisrael for Yantif. Okay, it's very nice, but you're still on the trip. And they say you don't say till you come home. The minhag is that people do say it at their destination. So that's the minhag, but some places can actually say that you say it only when you get home. But in any case, you certainly don't say it on the way to your destination, even if you're staying for several days.
It's totally different.
Tefillah Seder is different, correct. Correct. So another point is that, or not another point, a similar point is a person who is sick. He doesn't say the bracha as soon as the life-threatening part of the illness is over. He only says it when he's better. He's walking around, going back out of the house, functioning like a regular person, not just when he's over the hill of the actual danger. So, yeah.
If somebody got into an accident and he's miraculously survived, and he had a broken leg, he's gonna have to cast for 6 months. He says it there or after he gets the cast off.
In that case, as an Ashkenazi, if he's an Ashkenazi, then he's saying the Hagonal for the being saved from the accident, not from the illness per se. And he might say from the illness also, but as far as that accident, he's done. If you'd be saying for the illness, maybe you should wait until the cast is off. I'm not sure. Maybe, yeah.
It's not Brachos son in this one, was it?
If it was an ace. Not every accident is an ace. Not every accident is an ace. A mace is something that's different than the normal derech haTavra. So,
Ashkenaz make the bracha?
Shasli mace? I don't know. I didn't hear or read otherwise.
Sfardim don't say.
Does it say that?
Pretty sure.
It says that in general, Sfardim minimize these brachas. I didn't see a specific thing about just.
You see the place where you have it next?
Yeah, that's only if you see the place, correct.
Yes, it's not just because you know the map. You're home.
יש מקום שנהגו לברך ברכת אלו בלא שם ומלכוס. This is the late Sion. What's that late Sion?
Who's it?
Aleph Lamed Tzaddik. Tzina Bashol, huh? What's the sefer? What's the Tzina Bashol? Oh, Tzina. That's it. Oh, Tzina. Yeah. So, who's here? Who's here tonight? Anybody? Daniel? David, who's here? Just like to know who's listening.
says Misha Nitza Misakana, Kivan Shabal Ganava Malayla, Bali Sapas, Fashis, Vakini Nitza, Betanunad Drachim, or She Nitka, the Sakin, the Totzevize, Shmagia, Shu, the Maka Mahu, Yana, Bisha, Marcos, Birchos, and Nismako. The Rat Benes Hayoitzi Migada Hakaba, ובין שנבלו לו מעיין בקדמה, בשמחה.
Yeah. So was I. I went to the mikveh in it.
Yeah.
I built the mikveh out of that mayan.
It's very difficult mikveh to go.
It was great.
So only when it's mamash open, real miracle. Not like a...
That's I mentioned it yesterday. Some person say it has to be like a supernatural miracle.
Not like the car flipped over 5 times and you survived.
Right, according to that sheet. No, it would have to be like the car floated.
The car crashed.
Whatever.
You get hit by lightning and survive.
People do it.
It does happen. Some people do survive. I mean, it's very dangerous.
Cars don't float and springs don't pop up.
But yeah. So, what do I want to say? 3 days we discussed yesterday. To say within 3 days, and if you arrive on a Monday afternoon, so you miss the Kriyas HaTorah, to say it, don't wait till Thursday to say it. Say it on Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever.
The main is to wait for the next Kriyas HaTorah.
No, that's not the minhag. That's the minhag of people who know any better. That's why we're learning to know better.
I never seen somebody in the middle of it.
That's because they don't know. That's because they don't know. We don't bring a proof from people who don't know. You'll excuse me. A person who knows does it within 3 days. That's what all the poskim say.
It would be ideal to do even that evening and then.
Yeah.
But
Why delay? There's no reason to delay. But it's not. There's no minute to have to wait for Kriyas HaTorah. I mean, there is a minute to wait for Kriyas HaTorah if it's within 3 days. But people that wait more than 3 days just because they don't know. That's all.
What's the ending of Kriyas HaTorah?
It says there's more. First of all, there's for sure a minyan, and second of all, we hope there'll be Zekanim. We hope there'll be Zekanim there. Moshe Zekanim Yalalu.
So if I have a minyan plus Zekanim, there's any reason to wait for Kriyas HaTorah?
I mean, there is also an opinion that says you're better to get an aliyah. Tosfos mentions that. But not, most people don't get it.
Because what we did about
Why is it a minhag? Sorry?
When did that mention here in the shower? Also, you can say them.
So you don't have to wait till Shabbos.
No, but if I arrive on Thursday, per se, Thursday afternoon.
Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. Shabbos is still the third day. He mentions Monday because Thursday is already the fourth day from Monday. But he doesn't have to mention Shabbos because between Thursday and Shabbos is only 3 days. Shabbos and Monday is also 3 days. Monday to Thursday is 4 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay. What's the reason for Tosfos? I don't remember. Celebration test.
Three more Makonis.
Yeah.
Miki Yosef and seven Brachos, Nun Dalad on base, Chasam Sefer, Noah Chaim and Aleph, and Yibiyah in there, Chela Gimel.
Chela Gimel?
Yibiyah in there.
Wait a second. Yeah.
2 years ago when I asked this question. There was a Gemara conversation someone gave me.
Oh, I thought someone just gave it to you on the spot. I was very impressed.
It has nothing to do with Persumei.
I asked why not Zriza.
Persumei Nisa, maybe.
Oh, that could be. That could be, but why not just a minion? That could be the reason why you need a minion, to thank Hashem with Tzibur. But does he bring, do you have the sefer there, Rabbi Badr?
Next cycle, Rabbi, you should probably go to home. Probably be a lot
We got a long time till then.
It'll probably be very pumping when you get there for I think it'll be your home for many years to come.
He doesn't bring words from. Pretty sure it's a Tosfos. I mean, we have people that are not machuyev, but it's a good thing to give them an aliyah at times that they would bring a card. Actually, no, it's a chiyuv. I take it back. It's a chiyuv mamash. It's a chiyuv mamash. A person who is in the 40th day after the wife's giving birth to a boy is a chiyuv to get an aliyah in the place of a carbon. People don't even know this. 80th day after a girl applies even to a miscarriage. On the day that the wife would bring a carbon, 40 days for a boy, right? You have to bring a carbon. The husband is supposed to get an aliyah in the place of that carbon. So there's an idea that an aliyah replaces a carbon. And I imagine that's what Tosfos' reason is also, because this is really a carbon type. The goyim or bracha is the same ones that you say that you bring carbon type from. So the aliyah could be replacing the carbon.
Never heard of that a lot.
Something. Yeah. It's brought in Hilchos Krias HaTorah.
Shulchan Aruch?
No, I think the Bir Halacha brings it. Bir Halacha brings a whole bunch of chiyuvim. That's one of them. Is it only Ashkenazi?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
I've heard of all of us.
Ashkenazim haven't heard of it either. It's not a very well-known halacha. Nobody pays attention. People think they need to get an aliyah first, like Krias HaTorah, after the baby's born, which is not true. You get an aliyah the Shabbos before the bris. It may or may not be the first Krias after the baby's born. And but there's a separate thing to get an aliyah on the day of a carbon. One would have to, or one's wife would have to bring a carbon. Anyway, so we discussed about a person who is sick, whether he's life-threatening illness. Some say it has to be, but the Maisa Ashkenaz, and even though generally we only say these brachos if it's a life-threatening situation, but being in bed for 3 days, the Taz says is considered like a life-threatening situation. And this relates to a Gemara that says that when a person goes up to bed, we need to say when he gets sick to the extent that he's in bed, he should in his mind, he should think he's already on the garden. He's already like on the guillotine. Is that what it's called? Where the platform where they kill people. But he's a person never knows if he's going to get off or not. In terms of tshuva, that's what the context is in terms of tshuva. You shouldn't wait to do tshuva. It's just a cold, it's just a this, it's just a that. One never knows what it is and what it could be, and one always has to do tshuva. So the point is, that's already considered somewhat of a life-threatening situation. And after 3 days of being in that situation, kind of like a chazaka concept, the Taz says that he should say the bracha. And then we have the machlokes, if it has to be one of the four or not. Ashkenazim say it even if it's not one of those four. Sfaradim say it only for one of those four. Okay, with no further ado, my friends, here goes with number 8.
Halacha number 8 in chapter 13?
In chapter 13, yes.
Oh. really went to the
Yeah, I apologize for the noise in the background, whoever's listening overseas or wherever you are, but this is a Bas Mitzvah night apparently over here. Okay, Aroya Chachme Yisrael. Used to be when a girl was born, at least you didn't have to pay for simchas until the chasana. Nowadays, it's almost like a bar
I
mitzvah.
saw the Allah says, it's in the Seder of Elam Birchos. It says that there are those who say, he says, ideally it should not be done. It's also to do because men of Goyim.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been the reform.
He said men of Goyim, and then he said,
Maybe the reform took it from the guy.
but then he said, but now that we turn it into a mitzvah, and we say the Torah, and we read it, so it could be done, but it's not the fun. The Maisa, what do from people do?
They go love a malka for the class, you know what I'm
Oh, yeah?
saying?
Now it is. Lorraine.
Not in Hamish people, as they say.
By the Chachmas.
Remember, Robert, when I invited you to my daughter's birthday?
Yeah, the nice one. I was just thinking, as I was saying.
And we had it next city. So they told me you're in town. So we took all the place cards. We ripped them off. So you didn't
I remember you did something special for me.
Yes, the whole party we did it separated. We did it Frank Bridge and Ventura and Waterways. Remember Frank Bridge?
I don't remember, but I
Yeah, the restaurant from New York. So we.
I remember that. I remember the Shkoyach. That's a big skills for me that you did that. Thank you.
the big sitting.
I try not to send mixed. If I had to, the person who's going to be very upset and personally insulted or whatever. But generally, I try to
We're
say
working on this place. It's complicated when you have this kind of thing. People call you. Don't see me with my draw. It's very afraid.
But not because there was going to be dancing.
No.
That for sure was not going to be.
Yeah.
No.
Just the seating wasn't good.
There was a little dance. So maybe the woman had another place.
So, but nothing party-wise like that. And what usually happens? They sing songs.
Say the entire
Who?
the girl will say the entire parents. I mean, something more family and friends oriented. But anyway, Harei Chachmei Yisrael, one who sees wise sages of Israel. Should say the bracha that Hashem has cholak. He translates it as has apportioned from his wisdom to his sage, to those that fear him. If a person sees a chacham in the umas ha'olam, in the wisdom of the goyim, I mean, Einstein was Jewish, but somebody like Einstein, somebody who was wise and very, very smart, considered very
Not a business.
no.
Not like Bill Gates.
No, I mean Bill Gates is in computers is very smart, but that's not the point of being powerful
No, but
and money and
because he
anything
made
like
Microsoft. Not saying anyone can make Microsoft.
yeah, I mean
He probably doesn't do anything. He's not known for his skills on the computer.
I have no idea. I don't know. What I'm saying it's a chacham. It's more like the scientist than the computer.
Jewish only if it's a Torah scholar, and non-Jewish if it's
Exactly. Because if he's Jewish and he's not a Torah scholar and instead he's a scientist, that's not what he should be. It's chaval on his brains. Exactly. To say it on the Jew, he has to be a Torah scholar.
Oh, so you can't say it on. He wouldn't be able to say it on.
No. I was giving an example of somebody that's very wise in the Chachma, but to say it on that, it would have to be a person who's not Jewish. Today, I don't know. I mean, Stephen Hawking, whatever, somebody like that.
Did he just die?
Yeah, he did. So the point is,
Shimon, that was a big atheist.
One of the biggest atheists, yeah. He was very pro-Palestinian. If he was anti-Semitic per se, I don't know. Anyway, but the bracha would be bracha shenasan mechachmasei lebasavada. So there's two changes here. First of all, instead of saying shecholak, cholak means apportioned, which means it's his wisdom. He's giving a chelek of his wisdom. It's still part of his wisdom. The Torah is still part of his wisdom. Whereas when it comes to chachmei, which is chachmei, it's nasan, it's separate from him. It comes from him, but it's not included in his wisdom anymore. It's not part of the Torah, which is Hashem's wisdom. That's first of all. Second of all, of course, instead of saying li'yarev to those that fear him, it's basvada.
Somebody like the Rambam that was scholar and secular and sort of
You'd say shanasan mechalak mechamasei li'yarev for sure. It's a much better. It's a higher bracha. Besides the fact that it's.
The question was, did he say it all?
I don't know. You combine.
No, you're not combined. There's no need. It's a greater praise. It's a greater praise. No need to mention a lesser.
What's the getter of a chacham?
I think it means somebody who's mefursam b'chachmasei.
There's a lot of chacham that are mefursam b'chachmasei.
See what
And Rav Zilberstein's not one of the Gedolei Ador, but he's mefursam b'chachmasei. I'll give you some examples.
Here's Mishnah Berurah say. Just give me one Chachmei Yisrael.
At least we have music. So at the end, Hashem gave us music to dance with. We'll finish.
Yeah, he brings here Sefer Birchos Abayis. This is not about your question, but just not to make a bracha on a Chacham Yisrael that is wise in the Chachmas of the world. Because the Iker Chachma of the Yidden is the Torah. And a person who's not Oisik in it is not a Chacham. The very fact that he left the Chaya Olam and he's going to Chaya Yeshah, I mean, to worldly matters, means he's not a Chacham. What if he has? One second. What if he knows both? So he says it's enough to say Cholak because the Torah includes all the Chachmas. So he knows the Torah, and from that he knows everything else.
I was going to say, what if he's a... Right, I guess that's the question.
Let me just see if he describes exactly the level of wisdom.
Have you ever said this bracha?
I've never said this bracha, no.
Seder no Levadia.
Oh yeah? You said it?
Mhm.
Nice.
I should say it, but it's so nice. We do say it all nowadays. When the Rogatchover, Stotas Baneach, came to Vienna, they said Shecholak Mechachmasei on him. The Stipler also said it in Gedolei Israel. I don't know which Gedolei Israel. But maybe, I mean, he saw him all every day, I imagine, but maybe when he saw him after a while, I don't know. But he says, the Aruch HaShulchan says nowadays we don't say it because we don't know the shear of Chachma. Doesn't sound like there's a shir. It sounds like who's the most first one in Chachma and Psak and...
He's just quoting the Aruch HaShulchan. We don't know exactly what the shear is, so we don't say it. That's what he says.
There's a shir of Chachma?
Yeah.
It's all according to the door. You saying not?
This is the Aruch HaShulchan.
I'm asking what he's asking.
This is what he says.
What does he say?
We don't know what shear of Chachma is necessary.
The biggest.
How you
Let's say
gonna
number
know-
one.
How you going to know number one? Because who says he's number one?
All the poskim say is the Revelation.
You ask all the poskim.
Saying who are the greatest poskim?
I'm just saying, it's hard to know.
The Ravazim. Saying the world accepted them as the poskim.
Okay.
Moshe Feinstein.
Okay, it's hard. It's hard to say. Not everybody accepted Moshe Feinstein. I'm just asking. Everybody accepted him as the Posek Gadol? Not necessarily.
Okay, one of the
A lot of people did. Not everybody. I'm just saying it's not always so clear. There's no elections for the Posek Gadol. I'm just saying it doesn't work that way. It's a very loose system. As
Should be
they
a little
say.
more Lugano also here in America. Not to go on rant. I feel like it's a lot of chaos.
Totally after.
It should be a little
Totally.
more Lugano.
It's totally half
America.
curve. It's totally half curve, but it's too much politics to try to do something like that.
They tried. They used to. Chief Rabbi.
There was a chief rabbi of New York. I don't know about America. Chief rabbi of New York, and they made him so crazy in the politics.
The chickens.
The chickens. They made him so crazy. He passed away young because there was so much pressure on him.
How many years was he in office?
Not so long. Yaakov Yosef was his name. RJJ was named after him. The yeshiva of YU was named after him. Yaakov
Oh,
Yosef.
they made the
Named it after him.
They made the rabbi of New York.
No. They named it after him
Who
after
was
he passed
no,
away.
who made the rabbi of New York?
I don't remember. This
How
is in
long
the
was
turn
it?
of the century. Like 1900.
Oh, the German name.
Yeah. The shears of Furstem for Yoram Shlema ben Marsodi Marcel. What is that? The water in your knee? Furstem, whatever it is. So, in any case, Rav Vosner says that the Geder is if he's Mekubal by the generation and well known in Chachmas HaTorah and known to learn in the Shema also.
Says that?
Yeah, I'm just quoting the Shevet HaLevi. Mekubal b'mnei ador u'menusa shechachmasei Chachmas HaTorah amitis v'lemin bo l'shma. B'bach mashma k'tzas shetzorch shebaki gam b'teres hanistar. מי שמפורסם לחוכם בטבע ואינו מפורסם לירא שמיים, כזה ברכס הבית שאין לו ברוך להם שחולה, כיוון שכוסף ריש חוכם ירס השם, מי שאין שמיים אינו בכלל חוכם. לכן זה כוסף מרשע, שמה שברוך לחוכם לירייב, ומה שמקוד שירס חכת, קדמס לחוכם מסך, what's קדמס? It has to be a yorei. It has to be a yorei. Okay, fine. So yeah, it seems like most places can say that you could say it nowadays, and it's somebody who's bucky and forced him to be a big Talmud Chacham. I don't know exactly the Geder. But somebody like a Kanievsky, for example, somebody like a Vavaga, somebody on that level who's recognized as a Gadol Hagar. Okay, we continue and we say, Haroya Malchei Umas Oilam, a person who sees a king of the nations of the world. That Hashem gave from his honor to the Bas Adam. Now notice that he doesn't say what bracha to say on Jewish kings, because the Alter Rebbe was not writing a theoretical handbook, he was writing a practical handbook. He didn't have Jewish kings in Russia. And we don't have them at all till Mashiach comes. But in any case, in the Gemara it says that you say the bracha for kings shecholak v'kvod d'lireim, just like you say for a Talmud Chacham. And the difference once again is that the kavod that Hashem gives to a melech is a chelek of his kavod, because the melech, the Jewish king, is bottled to him, has bittul. If he's from Malchim Beis David, for sure. But even if it's from the Malchi Yisrael, deep down, even the Rishoyim, even the wicked Malchi Yisrael, deep down had a bittul for Hashem. You guys learn Nach at all? Talmud Chacham has to be Baki in the 24. Talmud Chacham has to be Baki in the 24 Sforim of Nach. But anyway, not that I am, but whatever. It's good to give other people Musar anyway. So it's the story goes in Malachim Beis, maybe it's Malachim Aleph, I don't remember, that Achav, tremendous sinner, his wife killed that old Nevi Hashem. He killed his cousin Navis to get the vineyard, whatever. He got tremendous curses. But when the Navi came to him and said, because you killed your cousin, your blood's the dog's gonna lick your blood in his place, and your family's gonna be wiped out, and that's it. Nobody left, or whatever. He did tshuva. He bowed his head. He walked slowly. He humbled himself. Fasted. Says he got his brother-in-law to give him malchus every day for 40 days. Even though and then he went back to being a Russian. But at the same time, you see that he had the bittul to Hashem, because after all, he has an neshama. So that's why it's shecholak mikvodim, because they're a chilik of him, so to speak. And of course, the yirev to those that fear him. But to the malchim v'so'ilam, it's shenasa. He gives them the kavod, but it's separate from him, and it's basar v'dam.
This applies to the president.
So what it says is that it applies to any ruler who has the power to make life and death decisions, which is even true of presidents and governors. Why? Because a president and a governor both have the power to commute a death sentence. They don't have the power to give a death sentence. It's not the judges. Commute is to remove. To be moichel, to pardon. Exactly. Both the president for capital, for they can't kill, but they can. The fact that they have the right to stop the killing is also considered to have power over life and death.
I mean, they could send a commando team to kill people.
Yeah, a mafia guy can do that too. I don't know. I mean,
and you won't get in trouble. That's the idea.
Okay, a general can do it. A CIA can do it. That's not the get of a king. I don't think it's get of the king. Is that?
No one tells him that he's making that last call. Whoever can make that call.
It's not talking about that.
No.
It's not talking about war. It's talking about in decision in terms of justice. Justice is. And some of the poskim say, it doesn't mention it, but some of the poskim say, in order to say the bracha, he has to be dressed like a king, which is not something you have by American presidents or governors. Dressed pretty much like other people. But you might have it by British rulers.
Why can't he be dressed like that? You say because anyone can be dressed like that?
I'm saying the president doesn't dress any differently than anybody else. The governor doesn't. Maybe he wears a nice suit.
While he wears that suit.
I'm saying he doesn't. There is no presidential suit. There's no.
It's true.
I'm saying, but by the nations of the world, I'm saying that still have kings, queens. I imagine they have special royal garments. If they do, then one could say that.
Is the Queen of England alive?
She's alive.
She's alive?
93 or something.
Yeah. But monarchies are not what they used to be. I mean, the ways are just like more like
Figureheads.
figure.
Right, but they still have, if they have no power, obviously you don't say the bracha. Some of them still have power. Like the Queen of England, if she wants to, I think she can dissolve the parliament. She can't make laws, but she can dissolve the parliament. Like in a case of emergency or whatever, she can dissolve the parliament.
Who can dissolve the parliament? Disregard them?
She can
Make decisions.
just remove them all from office and like call for a new government or something. It's like they won't use it on a regular basis, but it can happen. It happened in Australia. Australia is part of the Commonwealth. Officially, the Queen of England is the Queen of Australia. Canada and
Oh, really? The Queen of England's the Queen of Australia?
Australia, Canada, Gibraltar, there's a few other countries, New Zealand, I think. She's on their coins. Anyway, there was some kind of political crisis in the 70s, and the Governor General of Australia, who represents the Queen, dissolved the parliament.
Because they were making that decision?
I don't know what it was. I don't know,
So they did it.
but he did it. So even though it only happened once, as far as I know the history of Australia, but they can do it if they want to. So they still have that power. It has to be that there's life and death involved also, in the power of life and death. But if there is, then bracha can be said.
So I don't think that has a prime minister and a king. They both will do.
Oh, can you say it for both?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
countries that have kingdoms. I mean, probably Morocco has a king of Morocco now.
Right.
I mean, all those
Right.
countries,
Thailand maybe
they have
also.
parliament, they have a prime minister, they have-
It's a good question. I don't know.
Can I ask a question on kings?
Yeah.
Why did we stop having kings?
What do you mean?
When did we stop having kings? And what was the reason?
Because they killed the king. They didn't kill him, they blinded him. They killed his 10 sons and they took him to Galus and Babel.
Oh, okay.
Which king are you?
Okay.
Yeah. Bias regime.
When's the last time we had a king?
Yeah, the Hashmonaim were kings also.
Just for 9 times we had a king.
Hashmonaim, yeah.
Not the Congo.
The Congo became the king eventually.
Congo
The
was
Chachamim weren't
David.
happy with it.
Yeah.
They weren't happy with David, but they made themselves the king.
So the Congo became the king in that generation. That was the last king. What was his name?
Not just that generation. It went on for about 5 generations.
We don't know who the last king was.
We do know who the last king was.
What was his name?
There was a fellow named Alexander Yanai, who was a big troublemaker. He became a tzadduki. He passed away. His wife was actually a big tzaddikis. Shlom Tzion Hamada. You'll find her name in one of the streets in Yerushalayim. She was a good queen. She was a queen for like 10 years. She had 2 sons, Yochanan and Aristobulus. They were both bad characters. They had a civil war after she passed away. One of them invited the Greek general to help him on his side, the Roman general, excuse me, and the Romans never left. So those were the last Jewish kings. The
Those
king-
2 kids.
Those 2 kids.
Yochanan and?
Aristobulus. It's a Greek name. They use a Jewish guy. The next king was installed by the Romans. His name was Hordus.
Jew.
Herod. He was an Eved Kanani. It was from Edom, but he was an Eved of the Hashmonaim. They installed him. He was like their representative king. He was a king, but he was under the Romans. And his descendants were the kings until before
This is the second.
yeah.
So after the second Beit was.
We never had a country to have a king.
So, but that we had a king till the end of the second Beit.
Well, the king,
We
the
had
family of
a pseudo
Hordus
king.
was a pseudo king that wasn't properly Jewish because they were descendants of Avodim. They never of Avodim, of slaves. They were never freed, so they were never like a freed slave that become Jewish. They were simply Avodim.
But it's a mitzvah to have a king.
So,
I mean, what I understand that when you come, it's a, we read it, I think, recently, when you come to the Arabs, you have to have a king, but for 300 years they didn't have it. And when they went to have it, they got
Shmuel
mad.
wasn't very happy. Shmuel wasn't very, very happy that they wanted a king. There's different opinions as to what his issue was. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Well, why didn't they build a Beit Hamikdash immediately?
And the best build the Beis Hamikdash. The Rambam says that the order has to be first a king, then Mechias Amalek, and then Binyan HaMikdash. The point is that it should be V'hiniach lachem mikol oivechem misav shavtem betach v'haya hamakim asher yivchar sham tala, whatever. The point is you have to have a solid, firm grip on the defeat your enemies, and then you can have a Beis Hamikdash. You can't have a Beis Hamikdash chas v'shalom with rockets falling. You know what I'm saying? They want to build a Beis Hamikdash now, the Temple Mount Faithful, whatever that group is.
Temple Mount people?
Yeah, there's a group that wants to build a Beis Hamikdash.
I don't know if they want to build a Beit Hamikdash.
Yeah, well, for sure they want to build a Beis Hamikdash.
Did the people that build the Kalim for the Beit Hamikdash? I thought those were from people.
From people, but on the very extreme,
But they're practicing all everything that has to be done. So they're ready.
No, they want to build it. They hold, Chatchila, you wait for Mashiach, but if not, you build it. Which in halacha has a place.
Or,
Has a
or
place in
Pesach,
halacha.
you could use it.
Korban Pesach, even besides that, build a Beis Hamikdash. Why not?
Or you could do Korban Pesach. No.
That's a separate
Wait,
issue.
we can build a Beit Hamikdash right now?
Well,
So let's say we had the Temple Mount and the
There's a
Arabs
lot.
weren't anywhere close.
there's a lot of issues that have to be resolved, but it's theoretically possible.
We're getting everyone Tahor and whatever.
Tahor and Paraduma and Bigdei Kahuna and Makam HaMizbeach and Makam HaKadosh Kadashim. It's very complicated, but
And we can guess where these things are. We can
no, based on
we
the
can measure.
research. So we'd have to base on the research and archaeology and the measurements. I'm just saying, whatever. The point is,
That's so cool. Why don't we build this thing? What are we doing?
The plans are ready.
One second.
Pretty sure that everything is ready.
Doesn't the
No, the
Rambam say
point
whoever builds
is-
the base of English is
he's explaining. The point is that the Rambam says you have to have a king who gets rid of the enemies, because you can't have a base on the Mikdash for the Shechina when you're chas v'shalom under attack. So that's what it is. There has to be peace. That's why there has to be a king who gets rid of the enemies. That's what Rambam says. King, Chias Amalek, represents the enemies, and then you make a base of Mikdash.
not
So
Mechias Malik. No, because even they didn't have Mechias.
they did the best they could. Shaul did the best he could. David did the best he could. They didn't manage to succeed, but they almost all of them. Got rid of almost all of them.
So interesting.
Yeah. Okay. We continue and we say, "Vafilu sumash yideh shamelach oiver mavarech." Even a blind person who knows that the king is passing says this bracha. My friends, this is a Gemara that says that Rav Sheshas was standing there, and a Nin, a heretic, was with him, and they were waiting for the king to pass by. And the heretic was making fun of Rav Sheshas, who was blind. Sheshas was blind. Like, what are you doing here? You think you're going to see anything? Rav Sheshas said, I'll see better than you do. Not in those words, but something like that. And there was this big noise, and the guy said, the king is for sure coming. It wasn't the king. And then there was an even bigger noise, and the guy said, for sure the king is coming. It wasn't the king. And then it was completely silent, and Rav Sheshas said the bell. Because that's when the king came. That's when he felt the presence of the king. It doesn't have to be on Riyah, it could be on the awareness of it. Could be on the, that's what we see from this
If I'm
Gemara.
in a parade of, let's say Trump, right? You say Trump like a nigga. A president in America,
Some say he has to be wearing presidential clothing, which Lavdavka exists. But let's say the Queen of England, yes.
in a parade, and she's coming by.
You don't actually see her.
That's
That's the
the
question.
all.
That's the question. That's a good question. Here he doesn't say. It says, Asuma, sheyadeh shel melech oiv. So you're asking if that's good enough for Asuma to be aware.
I didn't even know he wrote that. I thought it was just they're talking about. Yeah,
Why does it have to be for a person who does see that he has to see? Why can't he just be aware? Let me see if somebody discusses that. It's interesting. It's interesting. So first of all, he says, some say you could say it even if you see the king in a ship. You don't actually see him, but you know that he's there. Others say that you have to see, that a seeing person has to see. A blind person is saying it because he's in the company of those that are seeing, and there it affects him that he gets the feeling. But a person who is able to get the feeling. But Bekitzer, he says, what about a Melech Russia, a wicked king? Do you say it on a wicked king? So he says yes. In fact, because he has covenant.
And gave him that position.
Exactly. But he does bring that when the when the Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany visited Yerushalayim. Is that his name, Wilhelm? I think it was Wilhelm. Birchos Zenfeld did not say the bracha. I don't even think he went out to see him. We're going to say in 7 minutes, it's a mitzvah to see them, so that when Mashiach comes, they'll be able to differentiate between that covenant and the covenant of Mashiach and so on. But he didn't want to see him. He said he's from Zera Amalek.
Wow. He was a good king, no? He wasn't
No. He was a huge anti-Semite. It was World War One, so it was before the whole thing with Hitler and Machshamai. But he was known to be because the Ottomans and the Germans were allies. The Turks, the Ottomans, the Turks, the Germans.
Isn't there a famous story that he wasn't he like a very caring general?
He was a general. He was the Kaiser. He was the king of Germany.
Talking about a British.
Maybe it's wrong. I thought I heard stories, but
No, he wasn't caring.
So he did do a very big generalization, and so is the rule in regards to the blind. For
Yeah.
all the other Brachos, a blind person that is in the presence of a rainbow or whatever.
The thing is, he has to be able to sense it. I don't think you can sense the rainbow. You can sense the ocean. You can hear the waves. You know what I'm saying? You can sense maybe
Thunder.
thunder. You can hear. That's no problem. But what else?
No blind. I mean, depending on how blind the person is.
Shasam Nes Malakam Hazeh. Miracle in that place. You can feel you're in the place by just the surrounding. A blind person, he's aware of his surroundings through smell, through hearing. You know what I'm saying? So that, yes, but it has to be that something gives him the sense of being there. The rainbow, I don't think is shaykh to that.
And a blind person can feel the rain and the sun.
Yeah, but he's not gonna.
That would make a rain.
Yeah, but not the exact moment. Yeah, he won't be able to sense that there's one at that moment.
If somebody tells him, then it doesn't apply. I mean,
Sorry?
if somebody tells him there's a rainbow. I
I don't think it applies. I don't think it applies. Wow, here he says, "Techenu b'chol birchas hariyah, k'moy birchas hakeshes." That's what he says. He says that you could say it. He quotes a sefer called Shulchan HaShalem, which I've never seen. That says you can even say it on a rainbow. That's a chiddush to me.
what do you say on the rainbow?
He says that a blind person can say it on a rainbow.
Other people are there?
Other people are there telling him that they see it. But that's a chiddush to me. My understanding was that he has to get a sense of something happening, which I don't see how you get that from the rainbow, but I don't know.
Maybe people are excited with the rainbow?
Yeah. His point is, what's the point of these brachos? The point is to praise Hashem. So if you become aware of them, no matter how you become aware, you praise Hashem. Okay, so I need to move back. I'm sorry to disturb the shear, but I'm running low on battery.
I can bring you electrical cord.
That should do it, I think. All right, my friends. Locking, excuse me.